Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Conversations with Interesting People podcast, the show where we sit down and talk with people from all walks of life and different journeys and hear their story and hopefully inspire you along your own journey as well. And I'm unbelievably pumped for this episode. A great friend, an incredible man. He's a hip-hop artist, but he's also a family man. He's a teacher, coach, all-around incredible human being. LC Alexander, everyone.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
How are you, man?
Pretty good.
Dude, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
And inviting me to your house. Your house is incredible.
Thanks, man. I'm a fan, dude. I mean, all your stuff is like super dope.
This isn't about me, LC.
I know, but I'm honored that you asked me to be on part of it.
For real, I saw you at, we connected at Roadhouse the other night. And I was like, why in the world have I not sat down? And we haven't connected in a while as it is, but I was like, what a fun opportunity just to be able to sit and do this and also catch up and hear about your life.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm honored that you're here and doing this, but I want to hear more about your life and your journey and just catch up to where you are, because you're doing a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're an artist, but you're also a family man, and you're also an employee, which is a really unique aspect. And so I want to hear about your journey, but I really want to start. And the question I was thinking about earlier is like, did you grow up in a pretty musical, because you're an incredible musician, artist guy. And so I don't know if you grew up in that element, or kind of how did that start?
That's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. Kind of. So I grew up in a denomination called like Church of Christ. So no instruments, just voices. Yeah. And
where'd you grow up at?
Austin, Texas. Well, I grew up in a suburb called Round Rock.
Okay.
That's like 15 minutes from Austin. So I grew up there. But my grandma had 8 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
So they were like the Jacksons before the Jacksons were even a thing. And they all grew up singing together and stuff. And so my uncle actually almost was able to sing with Sam. I don't know if you heard of Sam Cooke before. But
absolutely.
Yeah, my uncle, my great uncle almost had an opportunity to sing with Sam Cooke.
What happened to that?
His father wouldn't let him sing because Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers were kind of drifting away from like Church of Christ.
Okay, going secular.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so he didn't want him to be a part of that. But I actually just found that out like last summer. I was like, what? Like, so it's just been in my family. My sister she actually graduated from ACU as a theater major, and she went to New York for like a year. And so it's just kind of been intertwined. But as far as like rapping and doing it for like a full career, there's like me, and I have a cousin who lives in Dallas, Kirk. The two of us are like the only two that try to do it for like a career, I guess you could say. But the blood doesn't run too deep. But I mean, as far as like being able to sing, I have a lot of family members who are very gifted in that way, and just growing up around them, you just learn to pick it up and run with it, I guess.
So for you, it sounds like you grew up around gospel music. Mm-hmm. So was there a certain moment, certain album, certain person you hung out with that was like, man, I really like hip hop, I like rap?
Yeah, that's a weird story.
We got time, so go.
I don't know if it's a weird story, but like, so back in my senior year of high school, Christian hip hop was like not what it is today. Like today, you'll hear it on like.
What year was senior year of high school?
2008, 2009. Okay. So it wasn't anywhere like it is today, and even before then, it was like super whack. Like it was just trash.
Lame.
Yeah. Okay. And so, anyways, I remember my sister. I was already like rapping with like friends at the school or whatever. And my sister was like, "Well, you should think about like Christian rap or whatever." I was like, what? And she showed me like this magazine with this guy named Lecrae on it. Uh-huh. And I remember it was like 2008, and I was like, this is super trash. So I went to YouTube, and I YouTubed them, and like Tripoli came up, and I was listening to some of their stuff, and I didn't like it at all. So like,
really?
This is really bad.
They were incredibly popular. They still are popular, but I'm surprised to hear that.
But so I listened, and I heard the first song that made me say, okay, was Take Me As I Am.
Okay.
By Lecrae off the Rebel album, and then I think it was off the Rebel album, or it was like Real Talk. And then I heard Praying For You. And so I was like, wow, okay. And like those were the only 2 songs I had in rotation. It was like Drake, J. Cole, I don't even know who else I was listening to at the time. And then like randomly in the middle of there it was like Lecrae.
Okay.
And then it was like that song. And
so you already had some hip hop influence, just not
Christian
hip hop influence.
So okay. I mean, Yeah, I've always liked rap music. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I've always liked rap music. It just wasn't like Christian rap music because I just felt like it was just so. I didn't like it very much. But anyways, as time went on, like
here's a question I have for you, because I think, and I want to hear your opinion on this, because I don't think it was just secluded to Christian hip hop, Christian rap that was kind of lame. I think Christian music can be kind of lame sometimes.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Man, I feel like there's a lot of reasons. The one reason I would say is, and I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but like I feel like sometimes we can be in our own little world and we're unable to like communicate a message that relates to people who aren't in our Christian bubble, our Christian circle.
Sure.
And any like subculture has like lingo that they share that they understand within that subculture. But like if someone outside of that subculture comes into that subculture, they're like, what does that even, like, what does that word mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that's just how it's played out.
Sure.
And then also I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, well, I'm just making music for God, man. Like God's going to bless it. And it's like, that's true, but it's still trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like it still needs to be like quality stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the two reasons why, like, I don't know, it's just not always that good of
So it sounds
art.
like you kind of got started. You're like, man, I don't want to just make music. I want to do it really well and not make trash stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, my sister is like brutally honest with me, and like
That's good. We all need someone.
yeah, man.
who's a
And
little bit too
she
honest.
like hurt my feelings so many times, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But she was always like very gracious, like you can do better, like you can do better than that. And so she's always been like a good balance for me. My wife is not impressed by me at all. She humbles me a lot. Yeah, and so I feel like I probably would have made a lot of trash art had I not had like some serious people who like could honestly speak into the craft and say, I like this, I don't like that. Here's how you can make it better.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. So who are some of those, you named some of those influences, but early on kind of crafting.
yeah, so there's a lot of people. I'll enlist like a couple though. I have my friend Darren. He used to go by well, his name is Darren, but his rap name's Theo Blue, and he went to ACU. But you know, I'll send him stuff and you know let him critique it. I said my sister, my friend Josh Bonet. I don't know if you know Josh or not, but he went to ACU. He'll speak into it. Recently, a new friend of mine, his name's Tyler Daniel. You know, I'll send stuff to him.
And, I know him.
Yeah, and he'll critique it. A good friend of mine, Kiso Langston. You know, I'll send stuff to all these different people, and they'll speak into it. And you know, some of them are like what I would call fans. So like, I could probably rap my ABCs and they'll like it.
Yeah.
But some of them are able to just like step away and say like, oh, I like this, I like that. Keep this, take that out. And so
that's awesome. Take me back to like, when did you decide like, hey, I actually want to just do this. I don't like just music. I want to actually start creating this kind of music.
It's probably my freshman year of college at ACU. I had heard of a guy, freshman year was horrible, but I heard of a guy named Bizzle at the time, and he got me through like a lot of hard times during my freshman year.
I can't just let you go. Why was freshman year miserable?
Man, well, first Abilene, I hated Abilene because I came from Austin, the Austin area, so like just fast. It was like fast-paced life.
Sure.
And then I came to ACU, and it was just like super slow. Like there wasn't a lot going on, and so that was a hard part. And then I was I was pretty good. Like I was like a district defensive MVP in basketball.
Okay, whatever. Shout out, like big deal. I get it. All right.
No,
big deal.
Not at all. But when I came to ACU, it was like, who cares? Like, who cared that I was that good in high school? So I was like starting over from that, and then like I left all my friends that I had since elementary, like just the typical freshman year for everybody, you know. And it just weighed hard on me. I don't think I was ready for change, I guess.
Sure.
And so was not really sure about my faith. Like I didn't really know if I was a Christian or not. And so I was listening to his stuff because he had just come from like the secular industry into the Christian circle. So he was like kind of calling out some of the stuff that was happening like within the church and different things like that. So I could relate because he was like in that gray area. And so I was like, man, like if he's having that, and I knew so many people that were in the same spaces as me, and he was reaching me. So I was like, man, like I could do this. Like I like how he's rapping. I think I can do this, you know? And so I vividly remember it was like one day after class and I was listening to, it was The Messenger at the time. And I think it was like he had a song called like Explaining to Do or something like that. And I was listening to it and I just remember just being blown away. It's like, yeah, I got to do this.
Yeah. And
I texted my friend, Kyle, and I was like, hey man, do you think I could do this? And he was like, I don't know, man. Like Christian rap seems like it's really like it would be really hard. And I'm like, why? He's like, you know, because you can't curse. Like you can't talk about girls and money. And I was like, yeah, that is true. And then I told my mom, and she was like, what? No. But I knew, like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. And so ever since then, I just hit the ground running.
Yeah. So how'd you get started? Were you just in your dorm room recording?
Yeah. So I found out that I could get a Rock Band mic and plug it into the USB.
No way. Like the Xbox game?
Yes.
Let's go.
So I had a Rock Band mic, plugged it into the USB, and then I got a Sonic cup, like the large Route 44.
Stop this.
And I took the bottom of the cup out and I turned it upside down and stuck it in there. And I just had it on my desk like that, and I just rapped.
So you literally just jammed the microphone.
Yeah.
And so it would stay up. Yeah. And you would just have to like lean into it. And
yeah.
Why were you afraid to hold it? What was the deal?
Just because like I didn't want to. Saying this now sounds really stupid because I was recording on a Rock Band mic, but I didn't want the quality to sound bad. So I put it in a Sonic cup just to balance it.
Just to hold it.
Yeah.
What was the first song you recorded or wrote?
Oh my gosh. First song, I don't remember the first song. I remember the first one that everyone liked, and that was it was called like Found God in the Radio. Okay. And I was just talking about like, you know, I was going through a lot and God was like speaking to me through the music that I was listening on the radio.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of people liked it, gravitated towards it.
Was it vulnerable for you to start putting out your stuff, or did you feel like, hey, I'm confident with this, and so I feel confident with just giving it to people?
I think I was like a little ignorant to the idea of like quality music. Sure. And like because I understand like the idea of like you're creative, so just put it out and you'll get better as you go. I get that now, but at the time I was just ignorant to like the idea of like mixing and mastering and recording it several times before it's perfect. And I was just, you know, I would just write it, record it, and release it. Like that was my process. And I think it was just the grace of God, dude, like that people even actually gave it a chance, like to even sit with the music. But it was terrible. Oh my gosh. I listened back to the stuff I first recorded, and I'm like, all y'all are liars. Like this is not good stuff. Sucks. But I mean, God used it, I guess. But,
yeah. So. And I mean, if everyone just totally crapped on it right when you did that, what are the odds you would have just been like, you know, this isn't for me?
True. That is true.
So yeah, it's part of the process.
True. Yeah.
And it's good that you had people in your life, and they may have not known that it was not great.
Yeah, true.
But like them saying, hey, this is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Probably gave you some spark.
It did. Absolutely. So I didn't look back from there. I mean, I'm still doing it today. Not in the same way that I was, but I mean, I'm still doing it today. So
yeah. So what was next? So you get this GarageBand mic.
Yeah.
Recording in your dorm room.
That I did that for years.
And you're a student. So what are you studying at ACU?
So my freshman year, I was studying mass communications.
Okay.
Then I ended up leaving ACU because I hated it, and I went to Temple College, which is in Temple, Texas, to play basketball there and hopefully transfer to a bigger school, bigger city.
Gotcha.
Didn't work out. I ended up getting robbed with a 12-gauge shotgun.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to hear that story. What in the world?
Yeah, man. So my freshman year, I was coming in. I was like trying to become confident in my faith, but I was still living a pretty fast life, and so I ended up transferring, and I ended up having a roommate who was, you know, doing a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have been doing.
Okay.
And he was friends with like gang members pretty much. And there was a guy that the gang that was hanging out with, he was like gambling, taking people's money. He was doing that little card thing.
Okay.
And he took a lot of their money. And so anyways, the gang told my roommate to invite him to our apartment so that they could get the money back. And so my dad's a cop, so in a way I was like kind of sheltered, just unobservant, didn't realize that they were trying to set this dude up. And so they invite him to our apartment at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and it's like people smoking, drinking. It's like a day party pretty much in our apartment. And I'm there, but I'm like, dude, this is getting out of hand. Cops are gonna show up. So sure enough, like we hear a knock at the door, and I'm like, crap, like it's the cops. Like my dad's gonna find out. These guys probably know my dad. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so the guy, like, he opens the door and he like looks out and his eyes get like super big. And I'm like, what the heck? And he hits the ground and starts like bear crawling to the wall. Dude comes in with like, bandanas, shotgun. And then the two guys behind him had like, pistols or whatever. And I'm sitting in my kitchen, like, and it was like, dude, when I say it was like a movie, it was literally like a movie, and everything just slowed down. And I just kind of stared. I was just kind of staring at him, and people were like scrambling, and I'm just standing there. And he's like, man, what the, you looking at? Get on the ground. And I get on the ground, put my hands up, and I start bawling. And it was like at that moment, I was like, dude, I have got to turn my life around. Dang. Like I got to turn my life around. Yeah. And so that just fueled the music, honestly. Like that fueled me, that fueled my faith, that fueled the music. Yeah. And so I got out of that situation, had to go to ACC, which was Austin Community College. And I was at the house. And so had conversations with my parents, like, you should go back. You should go back to ACU. And I'm like, man. But I figured, maybe I should. I didn't give it the right chance the first time. So I ended up going back, and it was a totally different experience. Yeah. After I get back. So
what was so different about it? Just your life, where you were, different people.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I was like, man, I'm just trying to hoop and go home. I'm not really trying to get involved in sing song and all this other stuff that's going on. I don't want to be a part of any of that. Well, the second time I came, I was like, all right, I'll go. I'll give it a chance. Sing song. Yeah, did you get in a sing song? No, I never did. I never did, but I went a couple times and it was fun. But I had some good roommates, and I think the second time I just gave it a chance. The first time I was like done with it. The second time I gave it a chance, and I learned a lot, met a lot of amazing people that are still in my life today. Anyways,
so I want to go back to this. So let's go back to that scene, and the people with shotguns and guns bursting into your apartment. What is it about that moment that you're like, I've got to change? Like what's going through your head?
Man, the one thing I could say is that like it was like a normal day. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon. Like it wasn't like I had this eerie feeling and the sun was down and I was by myself. It wasn't that. It was like a normal day. Yeah. And like it went from 0 to 100. And it was like I just realized in that moment, like life is really fragile, and I've been playing games. Like I've been playing around.
Gotcha.
And like, I think, I don't want to, my theology could be off on this, but like, I felt like it was God saying like, stop trying to figure this thing out. Like I'm real, and like, surrender your life to me. And the one thing that freaked me out was like, man, like if that gun goes off, I don't have a clue where I'm going. Yeah. Like I don't know if I'm going up or down. Yeah. And that wasn't a comfortable feeling to have, dude. Like that wasn't cool. And so, yeah. So after that, it was like, all right, I got to see like what God's really talking about. And so, And so I talked about it in my music. I still talk about it to this day because I feel like that was the turning point for me. Funny story. I was actually okay until I saw like the hardest dude in there crying. Like once I saw him cry, I was like, oh my God, like maybe I do need to be scared. Because at first I was in shock, and I hit the ground, and then I'm like, I'm looking around, and I see him crying. I'm like, oh shoot. Yeah. If he's crying, that's like The Rock crying. Like if you go somewhere and like it's danger and stuff, it's like you're gonna look at The Rock because maybe, I don't know, he's your beacon of hope. But like,
no, that dude's
he's bawling. And so I'm like, oh shoot, like maybe this is a serious situation, and like, I lose it.
So you're face to face with your mortality, and man,
pretty much. And so it's weird, man, and it's I've like just with evangelizing the different people who have been in situations like that. like being able to talk to them or relate to them about situations that they've been in, like, and comparing it to the situation that I was in, it just, the power in that conversation every time is just like, it's a different way that we bond. It's really weird. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but you know, I remember when I was a part of the college ministry at a church here called Bellway, and we would go out and do different like trips to evangelize and stuff. And we would encounter people that went through similar situations, and I would explain to them, like, was it like this and was it like that? Yeah, like it was just like that, and here's how God met me there. And it's like, oh wow, like I would have never thought of it in that way. And so I'm like, yeah, I definitely got to write about this. Like I have to rap about this because, you know, there's people out there who have gone through similar situations. Yeah. And so anyways, I just felt like it added just another element to my craft. And I mean, just the grace of God, I guess.
So what was the next step for you? You're at ACU, you're starting to record, you got your rock band mic going. What's the next step? Yeah,
so I end up meeting a guy. So I come back to ACU. I'm still rapping with the same equipment. I end up meeting a guy named Matt Preston. The rec center had just opened. It was like 2011. We're playing basketball, and a couple of people knew that I rap, but a lot of people knew that he rapped because he had a song that came out, and he did it at like one of the talent shows or whatever. So everyone knew about him. So they're like, hey, do you know Matt? And I was like, I have no idea who that is, you know. And so I was at the rec center, and he came in, and I think someone showed me a picture of him or something, and he looked like the guy. So I was like, hey, are you Matt? He said, yeah. He's an oddball. But anyways, I love Matt. But he was like, yeah. And so I was like, dude, I love your music, man. He was like, cool. He's like, we should get together sometime. So we actually went over to his game, or to his house during a UT game, and met his family, and we did a song called Overall. I think it was called Overall or something like that. And shortly after that, we hooked up with some guys at Hardin Simmons, and then we formed like a label called Parable Records.
I thought you were about to say boy band. I would have been so hyped if you would have said we formed a boy band.
Dude, some of our like photo shoots look like we were just like a boy band. Like no joke.
No boy band, but you started a label.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little disappointed. But.
We started a label, and man, we did that for a while. And then life happened. You know, people started getting married and having kids, and you know, life happened and things fell apart. And so I had a decision to make at that time. It's like, okay, like, you know, I was engaged to my wife at the time. It's like, man, like I had to find a job. Like I got to figure out like what I'm going to do, and music wasn't cutting it. And so I had to like transition into the workplace or whatever.
Did you want to pursue music full time? Or you're like, this is still just a hobby? So was it difficult for you to like maybe have to put that dream on hold?
Dude, it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult. It was hard because it was just like, man, like I just felt like I was settling in a lot of ways, and that sounds bad. It's like, man, like, you know, I wanted the life that I have, but before I met my wife and before like we started dreaming of, you know, where we were gonna be and different things like that, it was like it was just music. Everything was art. Everything was music, and just naturally, priorities and different things like that. And so when it got to it was like 2016 when I really felt like God was saying, hey, I know you want to go left, but I'm taking you right. Yeah. And I was mad, dude. Like I was extremely upset.
And you weren't like, yes, Lord.
No, sir. I was angry. Yeah. And I was in that. I think I was in that place for about 2 years. Like it's 2016 as when I remember those things welling up. 2018 is when I feel like I finally started to like surrender it to God. Got married in 2017, and so, So anyways, things fell apart, and you know I had to figure out what I was going to do as far as like, you know, income and how am I going to support my family. Yeah. And so, kind of was in ministry for a little bit. Wasn't really feeling that too much. And so a lot of people kept telling me, my mom worked in education, my sister worked in education, my aunt, where everyone in my family worked in education. So everyone was like, hey, you should think about being a teacher. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be a teacher. Like kids are bad. They're mean.
What did you get your degree at ACU in?
Communications.
Okay.
So naturally, I wanted to either, become a musician or like a motivational speaker. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And I was like, I'm not about to be a teacher. I don't want to teach. And so I ended up being a social worker at a middle school. And people kept telling me like, hey, you should think about this, think about that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to just teach. Like, I want to coach. Well, sure enough, like one of the coaches or several of the coaches ended up getting jobs elsewhere. So there was a spot open. And I approached my principal about it. I said, hey, thinking about this. He was like, do it. Like, do it. You should go for it. So I buckled down, studied for it. We also found out like we were pregnant. So it was like kind of added fuel to the fire, and got certified and became a teacher. And man, it's been challenging in a lot of ways, but it's also been like really cool at the same time.
So you mentioned your family, like your family, like tell me about your family.
So my dad he's a retired police officer. Mom is a retired guidance counselor, but she now has her own private practice.
Okay. Are they still in Austin?
They're still in Austin. Gotcha. All my family's still in Austin, which is also like, the draw to like go home. Yeah. But so they're also there. My sisters are in education. Brother-in-law's in education, and my adopted brother is in law enforcement. Okay. So
where'd you meet your wife at?
So long story. So how'd
you meet your wife?
Yeah. So
give me the story. I want to hear that.
Yeah. So my roommate, he was from Colorado, and he had a friend who worked at the church, or he was like a elder at the church, and they needed like a youth deacon for the summer. And so, not a youth deacon, but he heard my music and wanted me to go on tour. So I got to stop there for a second.
Okay.
So I grew up Church of Christ, and you went to ACU, so you know how chapel
I didn't go to ACU.
You didn't go to ACU?
No, I do a lot with ACU because my wife works there.
I went to Hardin-Simmons. Yep. That's right. I knew that. Okay, well, have you ever been to ACU's chapel before?
Yes.
So it's like all a cappella,
The Lord
man. Yeah.
That's about the only thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so imagine.
I'll edit that out.
Imagine Lecrae coming on right after that. Like just the whiplash of like, oh, okay, we were just Lord bless you and keep you. Now we're like throwing water bottles and jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Like it was just so he wanted me to go on tour with them, like with their a cappella group.
Gotcha.
And so that was like my first like, oh man, like I don't know if I know how to do this.
Yeah.
But anyways, I went on tour with them and kind of got acquainted with that church, and so they invited me back the following summer to be the intern at their church. And so my wife was going, she was going to church that her family grew, like her and her brother grew up at that church. And so I was an intern there, and she was part of the church, and we went to we didn't like each other very much when we first met. So I was gonna say that she thought I was like super arrogant and like mean, and I thought she was like kind of snooty.
Were you arrogant and mean?
Probably.
Okay.
I probably was. I probably was at the time. And dude, I was part of Parable Records. Like, of course I was gonna be.
Yeah.
I was feeling myself.
A little stuck up.
Yeah, a little bit.
I get it.
So, anyways,
you're in a boy band. I get it, man.
So, and I just thought she was like snooty. So, like, I vividly remember we were on like this field trip.
These are great first impressions.
Oh my gosh! Like, so I'm sitting on a rock, and we had just got back from the sand dunes, and I'm sitting on a rock, and she comes up. She's like, "Hey," so like trying to ask me questions, and I was like giving her one word answers and stuff like that. Yeah. And so she walked away like not feeling me at all. And so she told the elder's wife, like, he can go back to where he came from because he has not started doing a good job serving this church. And I found out about that later. I was like, dang. But anyway, so we were like, I think it was like VBS or something. Like we were hanging out. I was like, man, she's kind of cool, And
okay.
I'm guessing she thought the same. And so we went to a coffee shop and we were just hanging out. And
coffee shop, the classic. Like,
yeah.
Can we go grab? Was it like that? Can we go grab coffee?
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it was. And we sat down, we started talking, and it was like, "Are you feeling this?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling this." And so I was like,
"What's feeling this mean? Like marriage? You feeling marriage?" She's like,
man, I hate to be the stereotypical story of like Christian guys meeting girls, but that's exactly what it was. Like when we sat down, I was like, yeah, like I'm pretty sure I'm going to marry you. she had the
Did
same.
you tell her that?
I was arrogant, so yeah.
Verbal
yeah,
records,
I did.
So you said yes.
I did.
Didn't scare her off.
It didn't scare her off.
What?
Yeah, it made our families be like, what? Who is this? But I mean, we've been together ever since.
Dang.
So
how long are you all dating before you got married?
Oh man, I don't know. We've been together for 7 years.
Okay, how long you been married?
3.
Okay, so 4 years.
4 years.
There's the math.
Yeah, there it is.
4 years.
Yeah.
But even day one, you knew.
Yeah.
What took so long? Is this a?
No. Well,
was she asking the same question?
No.
Okay.
We kind of had a plan. Like, okay, so I'm 4.5 years older than her. So
Okay.
I was exiting college when she was like just entering.
Gotcha.
So we wanted to like both be graduated, kind of know like what we were doing career wise.
A lot of logistics behind it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
you weren't
for
just
sure.
dragging your feet.
No.
I can respect that.
Yeah, so we had a plan, and it was hard. I mean, there was like times we were like, man, let's just do it. But we had a plan. We had to stick to it.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
that's what
Now
it was.
you've got a daughter.
Now we have a daughter.
How old is she?
She's 18 months.
Man,
Yeah.
what's her name?
Holland Joy Alexander.
That's so
So-
awesome. What? Any special meaning behind the name?
No, we just thought Holland was a creative name, and yeah, we just kind of went with it.
Yeah, I like that. I like it when people don't have special.
Yeah.
It's just like I just like the like. For example, my
Yeah.
daughter's name's Claire, and it's actually found some really special meaning because Claire means bright, and which is a huge. It's so her personality. She's she's almost 2 years old, and her name's Claire. But people have asked us like, "Hey, what's the name Claire from?" Did you ever watch the show Lost?
No, but I've heard of it before.
Lost, you should never watch the show. It's terrible.
Okay.
But we watched it, and on the show, there's a girl named Claire.
Uh-huh.
And I remember us sitting in our apartment in Dallas being like, I like that name.
Yeah.
Claire?
Yeah.
All right, Claire it is.
Yeah.
And that was the extent of it. We
That's
didn't
the
know
story.
anyone named
Yeah.
Claire. No one's family member's
Yeah.
name's Claire. But
Yeah.
later, we were like, bright, clear, and she's amazing. So I love that there's no.
Yeah. No real story.
That's awesome. In 18 months.
18 months, yeah.
Man, that's so fun. She's awake. She might be awake. So if you've heard some noise during this thing, she's running around doing something, which is totally awesome. But I want to talk about, because you've kind of introduced the duality of your life, hip hop artist, musician, creative, but also in recording artist, and also a family guy with a job. You're a coach. How has it been navigating those different worlds? Because I think the stereotypical Instagram hip hop, that's all he does. He just hip hop, 100%, no ties, just travels the world, lives a life of luxury, recording all the time.
Yeah.
But you've got like a real life. You've got a family. You've got a daughter. You've got a full-time job. You're a coach.
Yeah.
How has it been navigating those different worlds together?
Yeah, well, first I want to give a shout out to a couple people. There's a rapper named Ruslan, and there's another rapper named Belief in Fatherhood. So back in 2016, 18, they were kind of in similar seasons. They were a part of a group called the Dream Junkies, and they're based in California. And similar things happened to them that happened to like the label that I was part of here in Abilene. And they kind of felt the same draw to like go elsewhere with their music. Rather than going to get like a full-time job like me, they just kind of went the YouTube route and stopped like, touring and traveling and stuff like that. It kind of, set up Patreon accounts and stuff like that. But it was the idea of, okay, well, I had a lot of momentum going this way, but God like halted me and wanted me to go right instead. Yeah. And I just kind of sat back and watched how they navigated that, and the YouTube videos that they were putting up to kind of be vulnerable and express where they were in those seasons. And I just learned a lot. And one of the things that I pulled away, I feel like, was be content where like with whatever it is that God gives you. Even if the plan that you had wasn't originally what you saw, like, know that God is good. And it's cliche, but it's like, know that God is good and that he's faithful with the season of life that he has you in. Yeah. And eventually, like, you'll start to see the fruits of, the call that he's put on your life. And so I don't know. I guess the way I navigate it is just like I have to be extremely disciplined as far as like if I'm at the house and I start looking up beats, I could be gone until 3 a.m. just like surfing, like creating all of these ideas in my head of like what I could do. I miss the days. I love being married and I love my family, but I miss the days where that wasn't interrupted. And where I could just go and do that all the time. So now what I have to do is I have to be extremely disciplined. Like I have to have a schedule. So like I look at my week and I say, okay, Friday, I don't have anything going on. So what I need to do is I need to get in, and I have like an office set up, but like I need to get in at 7:30 and I need to give myself until midnight to just do whatever I need to do. And honestly, I'm more productive because I'm on a schedule to get stuff figured out and done. One of the cool things about my job is the fact that like we get all holidays off, including summer break. So in a way, I'm still creating, and we get weekends off. So like in a way, I'm still creating a lot. It's just that that's not the only thing that I'm doing. So that's the cool thing about education. My mom was actually one of the first people to tell me like, okay, you don't have to go work at a bank, or you don't have to go work over here, over there. Why don't you work in education? Like you're gonna be around kids who are gonna tell you like what's cool, what's hip right now. Like I'm using word like, so side note, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I said something like, why y'all coming in my classroom all crunk? You know, crunk was a word.
I haven't heard that word in 10 years.
I know. And I'm trying to, like, in my mind, it's like something that I still like say for some reason. And my kids are like, crunk, what does that mean? And so I was like, dang. So like, you know, I hear words.
Do you have a definition for crunk?
Hype.
Did you like hype? Okay.
Yeah, like why you coming in hype and like, you know, come in quietly, you know, whatever. But it keeps me like up on the latest lingo and different stuff like that. But then I also have time to, like, once I get off that job, I can go and create. And so I think it's just it's a balance of like communicating with Kaylee, like, hey, Kaylee, like this song has been on my heart. Like this idea has been on me for months. Like I need grace. Can I like for the next 2 months, like after dinner, can I please go and like create this? And I mean, she's always gracious. I mean, she believes in my skills. And so, I mean, that it's just like, rather than just, oh, I got an idea, I can go do it. I just have to move a little differently.
You gotta be strategic about it.
Yeah, that's the word. Strategic about. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it weird for you to like kind of live the life of a teacher and also a recording artist?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when my kids found out that I was a recording artist, like.
Did you tell them? Did someone Google you?
So I mean, kids talk. So last year was my first year teaching, and I think I was in the middle of a lesson, and this one kid, like, they got tired of me saying that the rappers that they listen to are trash. They got tired of it. Like, oh yeah, coach, like you can do better. So I was like, you don't believe? Like, and I didn't mean to do it, but I was caught up in the moment.
Did you get out your Rock Band microphone?
I did it.
Better?
I did it. But I was like, hey. I was like, you don't believe it? I said, you can look me up. That's all I said. You can look me up on YouTube.
Oh, snap.
And so I'm thinking, I'm forgetting this, like the technology generation. So like.
Yeah, they all pull out their phone.
Instantly. And I mean, that thing spreads like wildfire through the school. And so, man, I'm creative, but like I'm super introverted. I'm like super shy too.
Sure.
So like I was embarrassed, man, like for months at a time. Cause they would just, I mean, middle school kids, they'll just bring it up random times. Like you're in the middle of a conversation about like testing next week and like, hey coach, and they'll like just play your music video, you know. And so it's like, oh my gosh.
Were they cool about it, or were they like, oh, this is weak?
Yeah, you get a mixture of everything. And I feel like that's another thing, is like it makes my skin so thick.
Yeah, and I guess the reality is music is so vulnerable. And then I mean, at a level, as being a teacher and a coach, those kids don't get access to your life.
Right, exactly.
And suddenly it's like, oh gosh, they're hearing some real themes about what's going on in my heart. And so I'm sure those two worlds colliding.
Absolutely. There was actually a music video I shot this past summer. Like, you know, I was really putting myself in the shoes of people who were like struggling with like suicidal thoughts and just being stuck inside and quarantine and stuff. And I had a gun in the video, and one of my kids was like super concerned. Like they came to school like, "Coach, like, are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, you had a gun in your video. And I had to like sit like, hey, as an artist, like you put yourself in, you know, so like, yeah, I mean, that's very true.
Has it opened the door to any cool conversations?
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
what?
A lot of my kids, you know, they have some hard stories. And so one of my songs is called No Treasures, and I shot it at a park out here and was dribbling, and it's just talking about like the idea of like, I don't have any earthly treasures. Like all my treasures are in heaven. And so they're asking me like, hey, like, you know, what is this about? Like, why did you, so generally like, why do you rap about the things that you rap about?
Yeah.
And so that's the opportunity for me to tell them my story. Like, I went to school, to play basketball. I was a knucklehead, almost lost my life. You know, God was gracious, and now, you know, I'm doing this. And so a lot of them get confused, like, why aren't you a full-time rapper? Like, the ones that think I'm good, because all of them don't think I'm good. Some of them think I'm trash. That's fine. That's okay.
They tell you that?
Oh, yeah.
How do you respond? How do you respond to these seventh graders?
I don't really care. Okay. I mean, I don't care. It's just like, okay. Anyways, chapter 5 says, I don't care. It. But anyways, so, you know, they asked me like, hey, why don't you rap full time? And I always say like, the short answer is like, if I'm rapping full time and I'm out touring, it's like, man, I don't get an opportunity to have this conversation with you. Yeah. Like we don't get a chance to have dialogue like this. And so they're like, oh yeah, like I never would have thought about it. But then the other ones are like, I need to go chase that money. I'm trying to get that money. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like there's so much that y'all need to learn. But yeah, and I think that's the other thing, like that keeps me pretty like balanced and joyful, is the fact that like I'm actually getting to, like, a lot of time as a musician, you don't get to see the impact unless it's like, you know, on tour and like people are going crazy, or like, you know, comment section, and those things are valid and those things matter. But I feel like the thing that keeps me grounded is like seeing that student in August versus seeing that student in May, and seeing the growth that one individual. Like it's just a different way. It's a different way of seeing like, how am I making an impact? Yeah.
And it's huge because I think in today's world, it's so important for students to have real life figures in their life. And I think teachers, again, out of necessity, there's this kind of a relational wall, an intimate wall between teachers and students. But I think it's awesome that someone who's in their life daily, they also have a picture of your life and your story. So you're not just, oh, Mr. Alexander's here to teach us. It's like, oh, I've heard some stuff that's going on in his life, and he's able to kind of relate to my life a little bit. And so he's not so scary, he's not so dangerous. And he actually, like, I want to talk to him and ask him some of these questions. What do you mean about this song? I think that's huge to be able to, and I think that's an opportunity that people who are just on tour, like exactly what you're saying, who are on tour, they don't have that opportunity to connect with this younger generation who are struggling with the themes that you're talking about. And certainly the other teachers probably in your school aren't putting out content about suicide or death or God. And so you have a really cool and unique opportunity to connect with that generation that I don't think probably you didn't even have a plan for. You didn't even have in your mind when you felt the Lord navigating you this way.
Absolutely.
And that's a really cool part of that story. So that's huge. So talk me through, like, I don't know. One of the questions I had was like, what are you most proud of in your musical career?
The relationships that I've built.
Okay.
The opportunities that I've been able to be a part of as far as like serving people. A lot of the things that I've been able to do have been because of music, and music has opened up a door, maybe not to like a full-time, like Grammy nominated, you know, career, but like I've had some really cool situations and relationships that have come through music. That, man, I don't honestly believe that they would have come any other way had I not been able to, you know, put words to music. And so that's the one thing I'm probably the most thankful for. Now, if you had asked me this question years ago, I don't think I would have said the same thing, but I'm I'm in a different space now. I look at all of the relationships that have come into my life because of music, and that's probably the thing that I'm the most grateful for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there any like particular song that you're most proud of?
Yeah. So there's a lot of them, but the one that I'll say right now is probably the most. It's a more recent song, so it's a single off of my latest EP called Known Before, and that song is probably the song that I'm the most proud of that I've probably ever made.
What is it?
It's called Known Before.
It's the title track.
Yeah, it's the title track and the title of the EP.
Yeah.
And and so
why is that one so special to you?
Yeah, it's a lot of parts to it. There's a guy that I mentioned earlier, a good friend of mine named Tyler Daniel, and we connected over the pandemic, over like around summertime, and he just became the worship pastor at the church that I go to here in town, and he messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Hey man, like I would really like to connect with you." So we sat down one time, and he was like, "What's your story? Like, I know that you're a talented musician. I've heard people say that, but like, who are you? Like, what's your story?" And I appreciated that. And so we talked, and he was like, "Dude, let's do something."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." Like, what are we gonna do? And so he kind of told me about his nonprofit and how they help artists. And so he was like, "We've never done a hip hop artist before. Let's try it." And so I was like, "All right." So he was like, "Let's do an EP, like 5 songs. You write to them, and we'll go from there." Yeah. So found instrumentation, wrote to it. And we went down to his, there's like a studio space that they have in Round Rock, which is also crazy because that's where I'm from. Yeah. And that was the first time that I had ever been in like an actual recording studio. Yeah. Like I've been doing music for a long time. That was the first time I had ever been in like a studio. And so I recorded it, and it was like super, super fast process, super tiring, but like we recorded it. And then later they had a girl named Andrea come in and kind of do some harmonizations to the songs, and really brought the song to life. Yeah. I mean, really brought the song to life. Did
she do the whole EP?
Yeah. So if you hear any female vocalist on there, it's all her.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah, she's good. She's really good.
Unbelievable.
And like they said she was, but I think again, going back to the first question we talked about, being a Christian in creative spaces, like I was naturally skeptical. It's like, she's probably okay. Like let's relax. She's probably not that good. But she came in, and like I was like, wow,
she's good. I was listening to this thing. I was like, my goodness.
Yeah. And so
that girl can sing. Anyway.
Yeah, she carried it, and I don't have any problem saying that. Like she carried that song, and so
I don't know about that. I mean, it was an incredible compliment. Addition to it.
But she added a lot to it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so, anyways, and so just hearing it back and like seeing the numbers grow, that made me proud, because in the past it was like, okay, what are my numbers? But like now, when I see it, it's like, okay, like these numbers are like changing people like right now because of the whole process of like me connecting with Tyler, and then recording it in the town where I came from, and like just having a friendship in that, and just the quality of the music, and like not only that, but like what the song is talking about. It's like all of these different areas have been combined into like one body of art that's been like so pivotal for me and like all the people involved. And so I would say that that's probably the song I'm the most proud of.
Let's do it for a second. I just want to get the vibes here.
I know that you've been waiting.
So you didn't know her before this?
Through all that you've been facing. No need to wonder if I know what it is.
Did you write this, or did she write this to accompany?
I wrote it.
Before creation.
So good.
Seem like years have gone by. No more tears that we can cry. Can't even look to the sky. How on earth do we survive? Look at all this darkness here. Can't you make it disappear? Shine bright like a chandelier.
Yeah, on the verses, she was like, "What do you want me to do on that?" I was like, "Just do what you feel." And I was like, "Wow."
She did.
Like,
She did.
Plans on your timetable. We supposed to be the light at the top of the hill, but yet struggle to love our neighbors. So does that reveal to the world that we serve a God who could be trusted no matter what the odds? Or does it show something different that ain't hard to explain? That oftentimes we lack grace because of all of the pain. One nation under God isn't what we see. Choosing blood over water because we don't agree. Our pedigree started in gardens between four rivers, but took a bite that wasn't ripe. Aftertaste was bitter, so now we prone to divide because
I won't spoil the whole thing. If you haven't listened to the EP, you need to go listen to the EP. It's actually my favorite track is just because it's so vibey.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a word? Do people say that?
It is now, I guess.
I was listening to this track and going, my goodness. The vibes on this thing. Yeah. Waves.
Yeah. This is my favorite one too.
I mean, the lyrics are incredible, the content, but also just the artistry and the music and the vibes. Just wait for this to hit. Just wait for this. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Look, his love is like rain when I'm stuck in a drought. If my mind was a jail, then he wouldn't get
I'm gonna get distracted.
Yeah.
I'll just listen to that all. It's so good.
Thanks, man.
So good.
I appreciate that.
Really good. You guys should all listen to this EP. But you should be proud of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. The content is real and it's personal, but it also hits home.
Yeah.
For me, but it's like, man, I know me and LC aren't the only people going through these type of topics, these themes. So it's really incredible that you are vulnerable and that you have the talent to be able to put words to what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thanks.
And your vibe is like you say, I think your bio is like hip hop artist, but you've got like soul in there. You've got like 90s synth stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate that.
Did you find like, were there some loops online?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know if Mike Gio's in there crafting some stuff.
Yeah. He definitely could. I mean, that's not outside of his skill set.
Yeah.
But.
So, I mean, if you're a young artist or an artist, wherever you are, check out Flourish and get connected with them and shout out to them. But that's cool that you got to partner with those guys, make that connection, go back home and record this.
Yeah. It was a surreal moment. Like it really was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's so good, man.
Thank you.
Well, our time's almost up, but I want to hear what's next for you. I mean, you dropped that a few months ago, 4 or 5 months ago.
Yep.
What's next?
Right now, man, I have several songs that I've recorded. Just trying to figure out what all I want to do with it, as far as music video and like stuff like this. I am in the kitchen right now.
Cooking.
I guess I'm cooking.
Okay,
I'm cooking right now. So hopefully by the summer, I'll have several songs out, several music videos out.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my strategic time to create and really get back out there.
Yeah. Are there any particular themes you're going to hit on? You want to hit on?
Yeah, I have a song right now called Focus.
Okay.
And pretty much everything that we're talking about right now. Just, remaining focused and kind of like a play on words. Like sometimes, you get epiphanies when you're behind the wheel. Like when you're driving, it's like, oh, like I would never thought of it that way. So I'm just kind of playing on that.
Yeah.
And just really talking about, the Lord speaking to you when you're driving behind the wheel and stuff like that. So I have
Jesus Take the Wheel.
Jesus Take the Wheel, man.
Has the song been written yet?
So yeah, so right now I'm just cooking and just trying to figure out where I'm going to go creatively, how I'm going to land it. So
that's awesome. Real quick, what are some? Because again, maybe going back to like you're involved in the younger generation's life right now as a coach and as a student. What's some advice you might have to maybe the younger generation who wants to be an artist or maybe on the same kind of journey and path that you are? What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, I'm going to steal from an artist named Natalie Lauren. She said this on an interview a few years back, but she said something that changed my life and really helped me to get to where I'm at. And she said, just be connected to God's cause. like whatever it is that God has for you. Like some people are called to be, so I'm a Christian artist, so everyone that I'm about to say is like in that lane, Christian hip hop artist. So like if God is calling you to be a Lecrae, it's gonna happen. Like, you know, you gotta be disciplined and you have to do things with excellence in order to complement the calling. But like if God's calling you to do that, it's gonna happen. You know, but if he's calling you to have, don't be afraid of like the ordinary. Like, and I know that feels like you're settling or like, oh, that's lame. But it's like, man, like there's a lot of life changers who are world changers who have lives that look like extremely ordinary. But like you peel back the layer, that's not what the case is at all, because it's divine. It's like where God put that person. And so be connected to God's cause and don't be discouraged if like, you know, it doesn't look like what you thought it was going to look like. Yeah. Because God is good and he's like extremely faithful to like his purposes in your life. And so my biggest thing is like, don't get discouraged. Like and I like what you said you did a video not too long ago where you were saying like, chase your dreams. Like don't stop. Like, please don't stop chasing your dreams, especially when it looks like, you know, it's not turning out the way that you want it to. That doesn't mean stop. Like that just means you might have to, you know, rearrange your thought processes or how you're doing this or that. But like, that doesn't mean stop. Yeah. I had every right to stop. I had every right for known before not to happen. Like known before shouldn't have happened according to my time scale. Yeah. But God was like, no, it needs to happen even in the midst of the season of life that you're in. So you got to be connected to God's cause. Like, and just don't get discouraged, because it makes me sad when I hear like young people get discouraged like that. It discourages me because it's like you got your whole life ahead of you. Like don't let your plans not prospering like hold you back. Yeah. Like keep fighting. Like you're stronger than you think, you know, especially if you're a believer, you're stronger than you think. Yeah. So
love that. That's incredible. Yeah. For real. That's huge. And man, I appreciate you doing this. Yeah. How can people keep up with what you got going on?
They can follow me on Instagram, LC_Alexander90, and I also have a music page on there. Where is LC? Sweet. So most of the stuff that I do is on there, and then YouTube as well, just LC Alexander, and I'll pop up.
Sweet. So. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, inviting me into your home, and amazing hearing your story. Yeah. And I'm excited to see what's next for you and hear what you got coming on. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
And we'll see you guys next time.